Hello, heavy elements are here. We have two heavy elements or two lighter elements and myself. My name is Sapphire, and you are listening to Sapphire and Steel on Geeks Assembled Audio Heads. And so joining me, we have Lee and Tim, and just curious, we were doing the story. What was the story called? The story was called
All Fall Down.
All Fall Down. It's from that thing from the plague, that little rhymey thing from the plague. Anyway, yeah, it's a very timey-wimey story to use some colloquialisms from another genre piece, I should say. So, just curious, what do you fellas think of All Fall Down? And let's begin with Texas Tim. Hello, Texas, and what do you think of this?
I thought it was excellent. It was a very good story. They did a really good job of, you couldn't really figure it out on your own. I mean, until the end, until they revealed what was actually going on. They did a real good job with that. It was interesting that they kind of ditched Steel about halfway through. It ended up being Sapphire and Silver who completed the mission, I guess. But yeah, it was excellent story. It reminded me a little bit of City of Death, in the denouement moment where you find out this guy's been through time all these hundreds of years, but it's not really him. He's been reincarnated several times or something. It's really bizarre, but it was very, very well told story. Very, very well done. It could have been on TV. They could have done this on television easily.
I didn't have trouble visualizing everything that was going on. So Lee, what are your opening thoughts about Sapphire and Steel All Fall Down?
Beware Melda. Yeah, I've said before, I've always been a fan of Sapphire and Steel since I was little. The TV programs, the comic strips, what used to be, what appeared, and say these fan audios by Big Finish, starring David Warner and Susanna Harker. This one, as I say, All Fall Down by David Bishop. It is a classic Sapphire and Steel story. As you said, as you use the Doctor Who term, timey-wimey, it is. And I agree with what Tim says. It is sort of a City of Death tinge. Yeah, I liked it. They do. Steel does fall to the wayside after episode 2. For Silver to sort of come to the forefront and help Sapphire. And Silver, of course, played by the brilliant David Collins, as he played him on TV. Just like he's never been away. And the story, the Plague Pit, it's recording from hundreds of years ago with Sapphire's voice. It was everything about what made Sapphire and Steel so good. In audio form, it's brilliant. It's told well, acted well. I enjoyed it, and it was good to re-listen to this. I haven't heard this one for quite a few years now, but it was really good to re-listen to this one. So that's my opening thoughts for now, Susan. Over to you.
Thanks. That it was really strange and out of this world. There's like a little time bubble that appears throughout this story, generated by somebody who passed away in the Black Plague, and also came from the present, or near the present anyway, at Bethlehem Royal Hospital, which is called Bedlam. And the flip side of that is Debno.
Meldeb.
Anyway, Meldeb. Anyway, just couldn't flip that around very fast. Thanks, Lee. And it was in it was a real enjoyable story, full of eerie sounds and great sort of atmosphere. I liked it a lot. What were your favorite moments? Let's go flip flop. Lee, what's your favorite moments?
Well, as I've said about the recording, and that was just Sapphire and Steel all over. You know, the voices from the past, from people from the present. For me, it was the three main, Sapphire, Steel, and Silver. The way they communicate with each other by what do you call it? Thought process. You know, just
Telepathy.
telepathy. That's it. Yeah, and they use the same sound as they did on the TV when they're doing that. They sort of distorted little voices and in the heads. It was just brilliant. Yeah, I liked everything about it with the Doctor. Oh, what's her name? I've got the list here now.
Mary?
No. Is it Fleming? Dr. Fleming, the main doctor, who
was caring for Mary.
Yeah, she succumbs to sort of the plague, and then someone Steel starts showing signs of the plague as well, and that's what fells him in the audio. But then you've got Dr. Weber or Weber or whatever, the man who is through time, a different character but the same person. But when it comes to it, he really didn't exist. It was this entity, the force that it was time. Meldeb, was it? You've got me at it now. But Maldeb, but who was created Weber and all this lot, and it's as you say, it can get a little bit confusing if you're not used to these sort of stories. But if you do like Sapphire and Steel, it'll be right up your street. But yeah, I liked everything about it, and also the places they go to in these stories. As I say, this one, Bethlehem Royal Hospital. It's a well-known place, and it adds to it, adds something positive to the stories. If you can place a house or building into a story what is well known, it works so much better. And if you know the history of this place, which does sort of give a little bit of a history lesson in the story about the building, is a good thing. But all in all, it's a good story. Spooky, eerie, as Susan says, tammy-wammy. It's Sapphire and Steel. It does what it says on the tin. Over to you.
Cool. Tim, please, your favorite moments.
Well, I think the spookiest, the one that I liked the most, I guess, in the story was when Sapphire and Silver pop into that time bubble with that other guy is there, and it's like I was like, whoa, this is getting heavy, because it was like it was kind of spooky. I mean, it was kind of like, wow, where'd he come from? And then it's almost like they traveled in time, but they didn't. I mean, or they did. I don't know. It's really strange the way that happened. It made you perk up and think, oh, what the hell's going on now? And then the whole mystery about her being on the recording was solved right then, which I thought was kind of early in the story, but that wasn't the focus, was it? I mean, it ended up being something different later, but I thought that was pretty clever how they did that, because at first you're like, how did she? But on the other hand, she's an element, so she could have been there anytime back in the past. So it's not that big of a mystery, but yeah, I agree with Lee. This is really good. This is a really well made story. I think they did a good job. I think the ending was really unpredictable. There was no way you could have thought, oh wow, because it's like you said, that is time just making things happen so it can escape or do whatever it wants to, and that's their job, to come in and fix it. So yeah, really good tale.
Yeah, I thought that the time element was great. I thought that I love the way Sapphire. First of all, the way Sapphire sounds like Joanna Lumley Sapphire. I just can't get over that. literally, it very much trips me out. The other thing is the way she was with that little girl, who turns out to be have created a imaginary friend who grew up or changed or morphed and like showed up through the whole story as the different people, and eventually he was her doctor. So and I mean, so much good stuff, so many different elements in this. Talk about story elements, but yeah, Silver was great. Silver was amazing. And so, yeah. So my favorite moment would have to be that. And I did like the way that recording sounded because you listen to it the first time and you think, oh, it's just this, and then you listen to it the second time and you hear Sapphire's voice, and then you listen to it again and it's like, it's creepy. Anyway, so super fun. So we're back to doing sort of super creepy stories this week. Geeks Assembled, we're going to be doing some Preacher and some Joker story as well. So later this weekend. I'm enjoying this weekend. So let's see. We've said our favorite moments. Do you guys is there anything anybody else wants to say about it?
It's always the nursery rhymes, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd say I like to. I like how anytime you have a Silver story, and this was the case on television as well, Steel has no time for him.
Yeah,
and he's always flirting with Sapphire. They always act like they're like they had some kind of fling in the past or something, and so they're always kind of flirty with each other. And Steel's just like, get on with it, like.
Yeah.
That was excellent. Yeah, they do tend to have the nursery rhymes. And at first, when it started, I couldn't remember if I liked this one or not because it's been years for me since I listened to it. And then once it got going, I was like, yeah, this is really good.
Yeah. I think most of the Sapphire and Steel releases were quite good. Out of the four,
most of them. There's one or two that really annoyed me. I don't remember which ones they were though, but there's a couple of them that are pretty bad. I think there's one where they actually get replaced by Australians. And,
that's the third season. Yes.
Yeah, and they act completely out of character. They so it was like, okay, this is strange. I still don't know why they did that, but.
All right. Well, with that, we'd like to go around and rate it and do our final say. So, about I'll Fall Down, what's your final say and score? Tim, please.
I think I'm going to give it a 10 because it was really well done, really well constructed, and it keeps you guessing right up till the end. So I think it deserves a 10. I mean, it couldn't get much better than that.
I would tend to agree. Lee, what's your final say and score?
Yeah, I agree. I can't fault this. It's a damn good story. It keeps you enthralled. So for me, I'm going to give it 10 Ringer Roses out of 10.
Yeah, and that's another thing that we Americans have changed. We don't call it a ring of roses. We call it Ring Around the Rosie. Pocket full of posy. Ashes, not a tissue. Ashes, we all fall down.
It's just consonantal shift, basically.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. You see, when it was because of the plague. It was a story of the plague, that nursery rhyme.
I think that's why they changed it over here, because they didn't want it to be about such a bleak subject. I had no idea until I was, much older that it was a plague reference.
once you start sneezing, you fall down dead. Apparently, that's what it was.
Well, this story actually, had a bit of a historical lesson because I didn't know that people wrote that on their door. What did they write? They said it was a prayer or something like. And basically, people were trapped in their houses until they all got sick and died. I mean, that's pretty horrible.
Yeah.
Yep. So
even then too, they had plague pits. I guess whenever the plague had done its work, they came in and just buried everything.
In clay, because the only way that you were able to prevent it from spreading is with clay.
And they take it seriously, the elements do, because at the end she even says that we need to go to quarantine then because the lady has the plague and so does Steel. And wow, I mean, they don't want to bring back. Sapphire actually thinks they might have picked it up again out of the things they've been touching or something. So I mean, they did take it very seriously.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty serious disease. Mr. Boobon. No, that was an Eddie Izzard joke, but yeah, the plague was horrible, and it just wasted whole communities. The other thing that I was noticing is that I've been listening to the Grateful Dead and their song "Throwing Stones," and they have this whole thing sort of intermixed into the lyrics of that song, and so lots of little elements. I'm going to give this 10 out of 10 as well, and I've enjoyed listening to Sapphire and Steel. Let's continue on and listen to some more of these, okay, fellas?
Well, if you want to, we can. If you want to listen to the next one in line, I think that's The Lighthouse.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we can do that if you want to.
Sounds great.
I think that was only 2 parts.
Yes, it's a short one. Yeah, it's only a 2-parter.
Okay, and you, our faithful watchers and listeners, will you'll be able to see my response to Lee and Tim's last podcast about the earlier Sapphire and Steel daisy chain on YouTube before too long. So have a look for the response video. And so thanks so much for watching our podcast, and enjoy listening to the Sapphire and Steel ones. And I mean, I think Big Finish blew the doors off with this, and I've enjoyed chatting with you fellas today. So like and subscribe, hit the bell. Our castmate Tim Beef reminded me to hit the bell to get your notifications that we've got new material, and comment below what's your favorite Sapphire and Steel story, how much this lady sounds like Joanna Lumley might flip you out a little bit too. Anyway, these things are important, so please feel free to comment, and stay tuned for the rest of this week's podcast releases for eerie, spooky stuff. Joker and Preacher, the pilot episode of Preacher. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
A tissue.